Hello, coaches, and welcome to the Coach C Basketball Analytics Podcast. In previous episodes, I've shared how my basketball analytics philosophy evolved, why possession became its foundation, how we build a basketball analytics culture, and how players become part of that culture. Today, I want to talk about how basketball analytics changed the way I prepared for games, from scouting and game planning to the way I managed the game. Early in my coaching career, my scouting process looked much like everyone else's. We identified the opponent's leading scorers, their offensive strategies, their favorite defenses, how they defended during the game. We also looked at whether they were guard oriented, whether they relied on transition or the 3-point shot, who attacked the offensive boards, who their go to players were, and how much depth they had. From there, we built the game plan around trying to stop those strengths while producing enough offense to win. Looking back, that approach was mostly reactive. By reactive, I mean that we studied what the opponent normally did and then prepared our team to respond to it. We were reacting to their leading scorers, their offensive patterns, their defensive system, and the numbers shown in the traditional box score. As my basketball analytics philosophy evolved, I began asking a different question. Not only what does this team do, but which numbers make this team successful? That question changed the way I approached game planning. Instead of only reacting to the opponent, we began preparing ways to influence the game before it even started. We identified the numbers we wanted to move, established measurable objectives, and prepared different strategies and adjustment options to achieve them. Those options were never trial and error. They were part of the teaching and coaching process I discussed in my previous episode, Building a Basketball Analytics Culture. They were taught, practiced, understood by the players, and ready to be used when needed. That meant we were not trying to invent solutions during the game. We were prepared to recognize what was happening, select the option that best fit the situation, and continue working toward the measurable objectives we had already established. To me, that is the biggest difference between traditional scouting and data-driven game planning. The first step was to identify the opponent's numerical identity. I looked at their pace, average point production, average shot production, points per possession, player usage, possession time, offensive rebounding, and transition production. I wanted to know who controlled their offensive rhythm, who generated most of their scoring, how often their primary scorers touched the basketball, and which numbers gave them the greatest opportunity to win. Once I understood those numbers, the next question became simple. How do we move those numbers away from their averages? The scouting report was no longer simply describing the opponent. It became the foundation of the game plan. Before every game, we established measurable objectives based on those numbers. During the game, we monitored those objectives using our basketball analytics control form, and the information was continuously communicated to the head coach. If one of our objectives was not being achieved, we adapted. That wasn't trial and error. Our defensive principles and style of play remained the same. The tactics that could tilt the game had already been identified, taught, practiced, and understood by the players as part of our basketball analytics culture. What changed from one opponent to another was how we applied those tactics, when we applied them, and where we placed the greatest emphasis. The numbers helped us recognize when it was time to adapt while there was still time to influence the game. The goal was not to eliminate everything the opponent did well. It was to reduce the numbers that made them successful to a level where they became beatable by our team. That level was based on our team's characteristics, our style of play, and our normal averages. The game plan gave us measurable objectives and the strategies we believed would give us the best opportunity to achieve them. Our style of play remained the same. We continued to play full court pressure defense and positionless transition offense. These same core tactics were part of every game. We denied key passes, pressured the point guard, reduced the touches of primary scorers, fought on the boards, attacked mismatches, and tried to create early foul trouble. They helped us control the rhythm of the game, force the opponent outside its comfort zone, and influence the numbers that could tilt the game. Pace, possession time, shot production, points per possession, player usage, and offensive rebounding. What changed from one opponent to another was not the style or the tactics. What changed was which of those numbers became the priority in the game plan. Throughout the game, my assistants used our basketball analytics control form to monitor the goals established in the game plan. They kept me informed whenever the results began moving away from those goals, both during live play and in timeouts. As the head coach, it was then my responsibility to decide when a particular strategy needed to be adapted because it was not achieving its planned objective. That allowed us to respond while there was still time to influence the game. Data-driven game planning allowed me to step on the floor prepared to compete to win, not to try to lose by fewer points, not to simply hope the game stayed close. It allowed us to play smart through the use of data. We monitored, controlled, and influenced the key numbers of the game to increase our chances of success. The goal was to move those numbers to a level where the opponent became vulnerable and our team had a real opportunity to win. That is what this philosophy gave me, a way to prepare with purpose, manage the game with objective information, and give my team the best opportunity to compete to win against any opponent. Well, that wraps up today's episode. Thank you for listening to the Coach C Basketball Analytics Podcast. I look forward to having you join me in the next episode.